Welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment if there's any video you want me to make or anything to add to the discussion. I will make videos to have discussions, and that usually comes in the comments, so leave it down there. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games, and when Borderlands 2 for VR comes out, I will be doing a walkthrough playthrough of it, so if there's anything you want me to see or do, please leave it down in the comments, and I will be sure to check it out. And without further ado, let's get right into this. So as I'm sure you are aware, Borderlands 2 for VR comes out in a few weeks for PlayStation VR, and I am really excited for it. But this got me thinking about kind of VR in general, and do you guys remember a few years ago when VR was kind of talked up to like this big, it's the next thing in gaming, if you don't have a VR headset you're not really gaming, you know, stuff like that. It made me thinking about that and how far we've come and the future of VR. So that's what this video is all going to be about. The front part's going to be just about VR in general. The end of it, I'm going to talk a lot more about Borderlands 2 in VR. And yeah, well, let's just get right into that. As I see it right now, what we have as far as VR is a good middle ground. Because most likely in the future, like look into the way future, the future of gaming is full immersion. You will feel like you're at whatever spot the game takes place in. You'll be able to feel the environment. You'll be able to reach around and like grab things. That's the future, and that sounds awesome if it's done right. Now, as we have it right now, just the headset and the little motion controllers, it's a decent middle ground. Yes, you get closer to the game, but you by no way actually feel like you're there most times. That's mostly due to the graphics issue because, let's be honest, a lot of VR games don't look that great, at least not right now. And that's because the technology isn't caught up yet. In a few years, maybe let's say 10 years, it's going to be great. Everything's going to look crystal clear. It's going to be like monitor quality. And then we'll get a lot closer. But as it stands right now, it's alright. Now don't get me wrong. I have a lot of fun in VR. There are some games that are just so good in VR. But we're just not to that point where everyone should have a headset. Now in the future, maybe. Who's to say? I'll be talking more about that in a little bit. But as it stands right now, it's fun. Is it a gimmick? Is it long lasting? Who's to say? I think it's definitely more than a gimmick at this point. Because like I said, the future we're looking towards, this is definitely the way to go. We're just not at that point yet. One of my biggest complaints about VR as it is right now is the lack of games. Now, don't get me wrong, there are quite a few games, but the number of quality games is very slim. Like, if you look at a PlayStation store, they boast like 200 plus games I think they're up to now, but if you actually look through that list, a lot of them are just like 10-minute simulations, and some of them sound pretty cool, like, oh yeah, I tried that, and then 10 minutes later I'm deleting it because I beat it and it was like, well, that was just a waste of my time and download. So it is a problem. But however, there are a lot of really good VR games, even on PlayStation VR, which isn't quite as up to speed as like PC VR. Stuff like Surgeon Simulator. That was like made for VR, it seems. It is so much fun in VR. Same with like Job Simulator. Beat Saber just launched on PlayStation VR, and I have played the heck out of it these past couple weeks. So yes, there are a lack of quality games, but they are out there, and there's definitely fun to be had. But that also brings home the point of maybe don't get a VR headset yet. If you got a bunch of expendable money and you want to try it out, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. But there just aren't really enough games to justify it yet. But like I said, Beat Saber, so much fun. Job Simulator, so much fun. Surgeon Simulator, made for VR. Stuff like that, there are games out there, and they are really great. However, there's just not enough to really justify it. Now, another pretty big problem for VR in general is the controls. Now, Like I kind of mentioned, you can stand in one spot, you can grab things, with your two hands, with the motion controls, and that's all well and good. That works out pretty well most times if you have it calibrated right. Unfortunately, one of the biggest things to real full immersion and kind of games in general is you kind of need to walk around. And there are a couple solutions to this. Some games pretty excessive and can cause motion sickness. Now, even after I played for a while, like there are some games that I can only play like for maybe 15 minutes to half hour before I just gotta stop and take it off because it makes me sick. And I'm kind of used to that by now. I understand that at first, but you think after a while you get used to it. But some control schemes are just that bad that you feel sick. Now, one of the biggest solutions to this is a teleport system. And again, it works. That's what Borderlands 2 in VR is going for, at least with the motion controls. And it's alright, but it sucks. Because you're standing in one spot, alright, now I'm standing over there. Now I'm standing over there. Now I'm standing over there. I'd rather just actually, I want some kind of walking system. Now there are some that work. I have played games where it's a basic walking system and you really can't sprint. You don't go that fast, but at least you're moving. You can physically see you moving rather than just teleporting. I absolutely hate the and that's what a lot of games are going for because it's probably the easiest to not make people sick. And like, it works. It's serviceable. But God, it could be so much better if they could just nail movement. Now don't get me wrong. I am extremely excited for Borderlands 2 in VR. Like I said, I will be putting a walkthrough on the channel. And if there's anything you want to see, please leave it down in the comments. I'll be sure to do that. But from what I've gathered from like all their announcements and trailers and stuff, it seems to be more of an experiment for quite a few things. Not only for Gearbox to see, is VR a viable solution? Like, are we gonna make more games in VR? But also just kind of for the industry in general. Are remasters in VR something that's profitable? Is it worth doing? Because that's essentially what it is. It's a remaster of sorts into VR. And it seems to be doing well. Like from what I've gathered, a lot of people are excited for it. Some people are getting a VR headset just for Borderlands 2 in VR, and I don't blame them because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. However, like I said, it's kind of an experiment. Now, one of the biggest reasons I say this is an experiment of sorts is because it's a stripped down version of Borderlands 2. There's no online, there's no co-op, there's no DLC, which include the DLC Vault Hunters. It's just the main base game. And that's great. I'm still excited for it. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. But it just seems weird that they would do this and not go for the full thing. They didn't include the DLC. They didn't include multiplayer. They didn't, because multiplayer in VR is possible. There are games that do it. So that was kind of my first thought was, well, maybe it's not even possible. But no, it is possible. Games have done it. So the fact that they are releasing it, but not going all the way in, seems like they're kind of dipping their toe in the water. If this is something that people want, people buy, people want to see, who knows? Maybe they will include co-op in like a future update. Or maybe they'll just, when Borderlands 3 comes out, they'll just include a VR mode with it right away. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. This seems like an experiment of if people want this. Do people actually want games in VR? Even, full games that have already come out a while ago. And from what I've gathered, yes, people want it. So there's a good chance trends like this are going to continue. Games are going to re-release in VR. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of excited for it. There's a lot of games I would love to replay through in VR. So back to the whole theme of this video. Is VR the future of gaming? Possibly. I know that's kind of like a cheating answer and it's really not what you want to hear. But if we're going for full immersion, this is definitely on the right track. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done to get there. Now, is this the future, like the close future? Like, are more games going to do a remaster, that really all depends on how Borderlands 2 does. Because Borderlands 2 is a big game, and like I said, seem to be a lot of people that are excited and running out and buying a VR headset just for this game. So it definitely seems possible that more companies are going to do something like this. And I'm all for it. That's awesome. Unfortunately, VR really isn't that popular yet, so it does kind of suck for most people. But I'm all for it. Bring it on. Now, should VR be exclusive? Like, should new games coming out only be in VR? No, because it's not for everyone. I like it on occasion, but most of the time, I'd rather just play games the traditional way. That's pretty much it. If there's anything you want to add to the discussion, if you have a VR headset, I want to know, like, what do you guys think of it? Do you think this is really the future? Or, what are your thoughts? Leave it down in the comments. Let's have conversations down there. I will be playing Borderlands 2 in VR when it comes out, so if there's anything you want to see, please leave it down. If there's any particular way you want me to do it or go about it, let me know, and I'll be sure to do it. And yeah, that's about it. See you next one. Keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together.